We are coming to the end of the series, The 5 Love Languages. We've learned about how what makes me feel love might not be the same thing as what makes you feel love. Our question was, are we communicating love correctly? What is your love language? And what is your spouse's love language? Discovering the primary love language of your loved ones, like your spouse, your child, your close friend, or whoever you are involved in, is essential if you want to be better at loving them, and if you want to keep their emotional love tank full. We all tend to communicate love in a way that we want to be loved, and often forget that other people around us don't necessarily have the same love language. In that sense, I really appreciate this book because of what it's done to my relationship with my wife and my children and my other people. I encourage you to explore and practice it too. I guarantee you will start to see results in your relationship with your loved ones. For some, take a look at the next screen. We've seen several times this. Words of affirmation is their primary love language. For some, it's spending quality time together. For some, it's physical touch. For some people, it's the giving of gifts. And today, we are looking at acts of service. Especially today, I want to recognize and honor all women in this room, including my wife, because our house and our lives would not be what it is now without them. Most women are better at this love language than men. I think guys need to pay more attention to this love language, including me. Acts of service is all about your actions. It speaks to a person whose love language is acts of service louder than your words. Even if you say all day to this person, I love you, I love you, I love you, if you don't wash dishes or do chores out there, or clean the car, or change the baby's diaper, vacuum the houses, or do something, they don't feel loved. It's about expressing your love by doing things for other people. The Apostle Paul once said, serve one another humbly in love, because love serves. Love looks for a chance to serve. Where there's a serving problem, again, where there is a serving problem, there will be a love problem. Where there's a serving problem, there will be a love problem, especially in our marriage. I've said there is a major difference between dating couples and married couples. Dating is about falling in love. Your pulse races and heartbeats get faster than your normal parent. Dating is about something like this exciting thing, is falling in love, but marriage is different. Marriage is all about staying in love. When they get married, every couple has to face the real world. And they have to try their best to stay in love in whatever situations, except for domestic violence. Actually, it should be more than that, staying in love. Marriage is meant to be about growing in love. Take a look at the next screen. I want you to see this one and remember this one. Marriage is meant to be growing in love. I think the other 4 love languages can be applied to dating couples too. You can do it in falling in love. But this love language, the acts of service, may be more applied to married couples, because with marriage comes great responsibility. Marriage is a sacred covenant between the couples, and it always comes with responsibilities. And that means acts of service is a key in growing in love in marriage. It's interesting, dating couples who are not married yet never know what they do for each other before marriage is no indication of what they will do after marriage. Because when they fall in love, they get silly. I've read this in a study. It's interesting. Take a look at the next screen. I brought this. Events occurring in the brain when we are in love have similarities with mental illness. We become abnormal out of our minds. We are so confident, I'll be the same forever. I'll always love you as much as I do right now. But it never happens. Before marriage, we are carried along by the force of the in-love obsession. And after marriage, we revert to being the person we were before we fell in love. We wake up. We come back to normal. And there's a problem in marriage. So Jesus always taught the importance and power of this act of loving service in our relationships through his whole life and right to the very end. And one of the most dramatic moments was a time when Jesus washed his disciples' feet a night before he died. Jesus and his disciples were gathered in a room. Jesus knew he was going to die the next day. Now, to wash somebody's feet was an act of servanthood. In all ancient world, there was no record of a rabbi or teacher washing the feet of his disciples except this one. Jesus got up from the meal, took off his clothing, put a towel around his waist, poured water into a basin, and began to wash his disciples' feet and dry them with a towel. And then he said, take a look at the next screen. Do you understand what I have done for you? You call me teacher and Lord, and rightly so. Well, that's what I am. Now that I, your Lord and your teacher, have washed your feet, you also should wash one another's feet. I've set you an example. I've set you an example that you should do as I've done for you. Now Jesus is teaching love serves. Acts of service is a significant way to express your love and honor to your loved ones. So now you think of this. Who are you going to serve this week? Who in your life has that as their primary love language and they are just waiting your hand, your help, and your service? It's very interesting. In our early marriage, my wife Lee's primary love language was quality time at first. But now, we have 4 children, all under the age of 7. And this is often true for moms of young children. Now, her primary love language is absolutely acts of service, that I think. It seems like when I vacuum the house, it makes her feel loved by me. When I do the dishes, it makes her feel cared for by me. When I'm bathing our kids, she feels loved by me. And I know, at least, when our kids are young, this is the most powerful way to express my love for her. But there's a stereotype in our society. It says, it's the wife's job to serve the husband and make him happy, and not vice versa. Some people even think that's actually biblical. And yes, it's actually true. The Bible says this. Take a look at the next screen. You will love this. Guys love this. Wives, submit yourself to your husband. For the husband is the head of your wife. Wives, serve your husband as you do to your Lord. I love this. This is my sole favorite verse in the entire Bible. Guys, this is your greatest weapon to defeat your wives when we argue with them, right? But unfortunately, it was not the end of the paragraph. The Bible continued to say, this time to husband. Take a look at the next screen. Husbands, shout it out. Husband, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. And remember this, Jesus loved the church by sacrificing his life for her, which means, husband, Are you ready to die for your wives? Huh. What a reversal, right? And we need to understand love is a greater commitment than submission. Because love includes your acts of servanthood, as we are studying it right now. Well, it's definitely true. Sometimes loving somebody is a demanding work. They require thought, planning, time, effort, money, and energy. But if they are done with a positive spirit, they are indeed expression of love. I know, you know, love somebody is demanding work. But it's worth. Well, today, we conclude this series, The 5 Love Language. And I'm so grateful that I've received more positive and exhilarating comments from you than I did in any other series. And I came to realize and discover a fact that we all hunger and thirst for love and intimacy. Something in our nature is crying out to be loved by others. At the heart of our existence is the desire to be loved by another. I remember somebody said, what good is the house, the cars, the place at the beach, the bank account full of money, or any of the rest of it if my husband doesn't love me? Do you understand what she was really crying? More than anything else, I want to be loved by him. It's true that feeling loved is a primary emotional need for all human beings. If we don't fill our love tank, we cry, we are thirsty, we are hungry. And another characteristic, this is real important. One of the most significant things that I realized over the months as we study about this topic of love was that love is a choice. Take a look at the next screen. Love is a choice. And let's say aloud with me together. Go. Love is choice. Love is choice. You can make a decision to love your spouse or not to love him or her. It's your choice. And if you make a decision to love them, you will surely take an action in any ways. Making up the beds every day, bathing the children, changing baby's diaper, reading to children, putting shoes in the closet in order, washing dishes, vacuuming the house, mowing the grass, paying the bills, walking the dogs, change the cat's litter box. And these are all acts of service and speak volumes to the individual whose love language is acts of service. You don't have to do these things if you don't want to express love for your spouse and child. But if you do want to express love for them, you need to do something for them. It takes your selfless, sacrificial, loving efforts. Here's a funny story in a marriage. I love to share this story. An elderly couple lay down for bed one night. The woman said to her husband, when we were younger, you used to lie close to me. The man sighed and moved closer. The woman said, I remember when you used to hold my hand. The man sighed again, a little frustrated, but reached out and took her hand. Then the woman said, I remember when you used to nibble my ear and give deep kiss. This time the man angrily threw back the covers and got up to leave. The woman was shocked and asked, where are you going? The man replied, to get my teeth in the cup. Friends, love is a choice. Each of us must decide every day to love or not to love our spouses. If we choose to love, your marriage will never be the same. Your relationship will never be the same. And please remember this. Love is something you do for someone else with sacrifice, not something you do for yourself for your pleasure. Love is not that way. Love is not just a feeling, it's real. It's commitment and above all, a sacrifice. I want to end the message with a beautiful story from a book called Love to Stay, written by Adam Hamilton. Adam is one of the most prominent pastors, ministers in the United Methodist Church. I read what he put in this book. John and Denise were among the founding members of our church. They and their 2 elementary-age sons helped a lot as we launched a community of believers. Denise had suffered a brain tumor many years earlier, but it had long been in remission. Then, about 3 or 4 years after the founding of our church, the tumor returned. John and Denise learned that it was cancerous and inoperable, and though the doctor tried to slow its progress, the tumor would not respond to treatment. It was obvious that at some point before too long, she would succumb. John, Denise, and their sons moved to Columbia, Missouri, to be closer to family. One day, several years after they had moved, John called to let me know the end was drawing near. I drove the 2 hours to Columbia in order to spend some time with them. I rang the doorbell and heard John shout from the top of the stairs, "Adam, it's unlocked. Just come on in." He had just finished giving Denise a bath and was doing her hair and putting on her makeup. I watched it as he took her in his arms, carried her downstairs, and set her gently at the kitchen table. He made us a bologna sandwiches and gently fed Denise, wiping her face tenderly after each bite. Now and then, Denise would have a brief flash of awareness, as though she recognized something familiar. But most of the time, there was a blank look in her eyes. When we finished, John and I prayed together for Denise, giving her to God. As I got in my car to start back, I broke down. The tears flowed down my face. This, I thought, is what marriage looked like. This was marital love, a commitment that John and Denise had made for better or worse, for richer or poor, in sickness and in health, to love and cherish one another until they were separated by death. Friends, love serves. This is what love is all about. This is all about growing in love in marriage. It's something profound, holy, and beautiful. Well, I should finish the message because I have to go home early today. I have to clean up the kitchen. I have many, many dishes to wash. Friends, if you know and figure out the primary love language of your loved one, now it's time to do it. It's never too late. It's never too early. And I believe your love expressed correctly will make the difference. May richly God bless your love, everybody. Amen.